Guys, Zoro versus King was fire. Yes, I am making another review of a fight and this is literally right after I just made the Sanji versus Queen one. Literally, it's been like 30 minutes because I went down, sat down, watched episode 1062, and then came back in here so I can make another review. I promise this will be okay, I don't promise anything. Anyways, Zoro versus King. It was Zoro's best fight by a large margin. I really can't say, I'm sorry, Zoro versus Mr. One, you were awesome, and Zoro versus Kaku was also really cool, but Zoro versus King was on another level of intensity. Let me tell you how this fight is plain peak fiction. So, first and foremost, these are the two right-hand men of the two pirate groups that are going up against one another. You have the right-hand man of the Straw Hat Pirates, Zoro, and you have the right-hand man of the Animal Kingdom Pirates, King. They're both fighting because they both believe that their captains will become king of the pirates. And they firmly believe in this, and they're fighting to the death on which one is who will become the king of the pirates. And we both get flashbacks to them, like, promising to their crew that they will be king of the pirates. And Zoro's whole thing with the King of Hell and everything, that was just plain fantastic. When Zoro in the end, when he beats King and he just has that cold stance and says, "I shall become the King of Hell," that was so dope, dude. That was so hype. I was so hyped when I watched it. Another thing to note, the animation, it was 10 times better than Sanji versus Queen. It's insane. This animation was so hype. It was so cool. I didn't realize that they were gonna pull all the stops in this fight, but they did because they care about these characters. And Toei went all out in the animation. And when Zoro, finally beats King, you kind of see, the lightning bolts in the background. You can see it says, Z. It has a freaking Z for Zoro and Zolo, depending on, if you read the manga or watch the anime. But it's just so dope to see that this was plain fantastic. This fight was fire. It was so good. The choreography was awesome. Every single move was plain fantastic. I don't know what they were cooking up in the Toei labs, but they cooked up this episode, and they brought their A game. I can't say this is better than 1015. 1015 is the best One Piece episode of all time, and probably will be until the end of time, because it's just it's focused on Luffy. But this episode is top 5 One Piece episodes. The action was amazing. The fight scenes were fantastic. The animation was beautiful. It was very Onigashima, and I love it for that. And also, King's so dope. King is one of the coolest villains that they have had in One Piece. They've had several villains, but King is just so cool. He has such a cool design. I'm honestly gonna say it, he looked better without the mask. His mask, when the mask was off, he had aura, and he burnt, and him being a Lunarian was just so cool. That is such a cool name for a tribe, and I love him for that. It's so dope. And I also love how King's determination for Kaido, because Kaido saved his life. It was just so dope, dude. This arc keeps on bringing. Wano is the best arc in One Piece history. I will not hear any debates. If you believe that there is a better arc, you have to give me a firm reason. Wano is the peak. It's one peak. It's roof piece. It's peak. You cannot tell me. They literally have an opening called the peak. Wano is peak. It's not. There's never gonna be an arc in One Piece, in my opinion, unless the final war arc. Which this sounds like I'm talking about My Hero. I'm not talking about My Hero Academia. I'm talking about One Piece. Unless we have that giant war between literally everybody. If we have that giant war arc, that's probably going to be it. But I have to see, because Wano is it's peak fiction. Wano is probably my favorite arc in anime history. I can't even explain how awesome this arc is. This arc is so good. Anyone who hasn't caught up on One Piece and has not made it to Wano yet, just so you know, your mind is gonna be blown 10 times and probably more than that. Wano has so many things to it, and it's just beautiful. And I love this fight so much. Zoro versus King is top 5 One Piece fights. Probably gonna remain that forever, really. I love it so much. It's so beautiful. I was so hyped when I watched this, and I just wanted to give y'all my honest review of it. I promise this is my final One Piece fight review. But oh my god, Luffy versus Kaido was incredible. Welcome everybody to, I think you've all been waiting for. It's been a little bit. I recorded Sanji versus Queen's review. I recorded Zoro versus King's review. And now we're finally, but those fights were only the first course. Now we're in the main course with Luffy versus Kaido. Oh my lord. This fight was peak fiction. This, I cannot stress this enough. This is peak, bro. Luffy versus Kaido was so good, and I have to talk about it with you. So let's go back a bit, because before we get to, the thing y'all all want for me to talk about, let's go a little bit back. So Luffy is in his Bounce Man form versus Kaido. Kaido's about to do Thunder Bagua, which is his main move. Uses it. Then Luffy goes for Con Gun in Gear 4. They're about to strike each other when all of a sudden CP0, that stupid freaking dude, decided, I'm gonna hold back Luffy so Kaido kills him. And you're probably thinking, for those who haven't seen this part yet, you're probably thinking, well, there's no way Luffy could die, right? Right? Luffy dies! I am not joking. He literally dies by Kaido. That is unheard of in One Piece. Nobody can ever say that they killed Luffy. Crocodile may have stabbed Luffy through the, whatever. I don't know if it was the gut, the diaphragm, or the heart, per se. But what I will say, but Kaido actually killed him. Canonically. Everyone was like, oh my god, Luffy's dead. Luffy is dead. Kaido literally came down into the whole Onigashima people and literally said, unfortunately everybody, Luffy is dead. That was until Zunisha pulled up. And he said he heard it. This was so peak right here. When Zunisha is like, I hear it. The drums of liberation. And it's just the most fire OST of my life I've heard. I think it might be better than the Ultra Instinct theme. I am not joking. This theme was so peak, bro. When you hear those drums, and that's canonical. It's not like that's not like something that is just an OST. That's canonical. That is literally playing in that moment. Like Luffy and Kaido, well not Kaido, but Luffy can actually hear it. That's what Luffy's heartbeat sounds like. And then he awakens. Gear 5 awakens. And it was so peak, bro. It was so cool. When Luffy just hits the pose when he's just like laughing with his hand over his face and he's like sitting down. It was so cool. And the way that Luffy beat up Kaido, it wasn't any other way. It wasn't like the serious Luffy. This is Luffy when he's just laughing, having the time of his life, being Bugs Bunny, basically. Because this dude is straight up doing the most cartoony things possible and beating up Kaido so hilariously. I was laughing my brain off. It was so funny, bro. It was so hilarious how this seemingly serious Luffy from Onigashima turned into this hilarious Looney Tunes character. And Gear 5 delivered. It was so peak. And the animation that they did was like insane. The animation was so good that it's 10-15 level. Probably was better than 10-15's animation, I'm not gonna lie. Even though, I will say, I still think 10-15 is the best episode of One Piece. Mainly for the fact that it's more focused on Luffy than, you know, like Gear 5 and like other stuff. But it's so funny. It's just so hilarious that Gear 5 was just like constantly beating up Kaido in such a cartoony way that you don't even think you're watching One Piece. You think you're watching like Looney Tunes or something. But it's so funny how he did it, and he straight up was bouncing on the ground. He literally ripped the ground and it turned into a shield for him. Fast forward, Luffy grabs lightning! And he used Kaido as a jump rope in his dragon form. This was so good. It was so fire. And then you fast forward to the end where Luffy has a fist that would make King Kong gun look like nothing. Beijing gun was so huge. He could straight up punch the entirety of Onigashima. It was insane. And Kaido was still putting up a fight against him. Luffy had to punch Kaido into lava to defeat him. But, you see, this is our boy Luffy. And when he says he's gonna win, he won. And he finally defeated Kaido after literally 4 times of fighting him. You have his first time in the land of Wano. Then you have his second time where you have Red Rock, and then Kid and Law were backing him up. Then the third time was a solo round. Yamato helped a little bit, and then we got Luffy's best entrance of all time, where he was riding on Momonosuke and went Gear 4 Snake Man, and just, that was so peak. That is a top 5 One Piece moment, in my opinion. I think, I can't speak. I think I would love to make a top 10 greatest One Piece moments, but I can't even sit and talk about how good they are. You would literally have to watch the moments yourself to see how peak they are. And I can't really show it because copyright sucks. Sorry, YouTube. I'm sorry. I want to do this as my job. Please. Anyways. Yeah, so basically, it was, and then the 4th time was when he went Gear 5, after he freaking died. So, that's Luffy versus Kaido. One Piece is my favorite anime. I will never change that for the rest of my life. And yeah, that's my review of Luffy versus Kaido. This is probably gonna come out like a day after it's recorded, but I just uploaded Sanji vs. Queen as of the time. But thank you guys so much for watching. Please subscribe, and I will catch y'all all in the next video. Thank you for watching.